All right, this is just going to be a couple of minutes. I'm seeing right now this about don't say gay and all of this about transsexual, and there's all kinds of different sexualities now. I'm a material scientist. I say, why are all these sexualities here? Are they something that's always been in a closet and they've just been this way forever? Or is this increasing? Or what causes somebody not to have their correct sexual identity? And when I say correct sexual identity, you're either a male or a female. You have either a vagina or a penis. Basically, that's it. And if you don't follow that thing, then to me, you're not your correct gender. And if you fall in the middle, you want to be one or the other or both or whatever. Is that what's the material science behind that? That's where I'm going. And I think I might understand it a little bit. All right, I don't know if they're doing any studies on this now. These go way back. They're looking for testicular disorders here. I'm talking about this SHBG, which is these binding globulins. But the same thing happens in women. These are females, estrogen. But it says the same thing, these SHBGs, which are the binding globulins. So they bind to a different molecule, and it's, you go more female, estrogen, and they bind to testosterone, and you go to the male side. Now, is there something going on with the bacteria in kids' guts now that are causing a lot of this, sexual disorientation? I don't know. All right, we know there's a ton of mental issues right now, people killing people and doing all kinds of crazy things. Well, anxiety and depression are another part of that, and it's just rampant in kids now. And I believe it's their guts are causing trouble with your gut-brain axis, is causing you to be depressed, because fecal matter transplants helps this as well. It's literally everything that happens in your body, 100%, 100% is caused by bacteria creating enzymes, the enzymes creating chemistry, the chemistry creating either a good outcome or a bad outcome. It's either it's toxic or it's not toxic. It's good for you. That's the key. It all starts with bacteria. All right, this is amazing. This just came out 2023, just a few months ago. Safety and feasibility for these fecal transplants for major depressive disorders. They're doing a randomized control trial, and they discovered that it does help. Now, the mental disorders, including major depressive disorder, are leading cause of non-fatal burden of disease globally. Leading cause. Current conventional treatments for depression have significant limitations. They don't work. And there have been few new treatments in decades. Microbiota gut is now recognized as playing a role in mental and brain health. Yes. Promising preclinical and clinical data suggests that the FMT may be effective for treating a range of mental illnesses. However, there's no existing published studies in humans evaluating the efficacy of the fecal matter transplant and this mood disorder. Now, this is where they should be spending money. Let's find out what the makeup of the gut is, because that's what affects all the chemistry. The chemistry affects the hormones. The hormones aren't right. Who knows what can come out the other end? Okay, my friends, it appears that we could be looking at all of this different sexual diversity is being possibly related to enzymes, which are related to hormones, which are related to depression and mood behavior and all kinds of stuff. Literally everything that happens in your body, and I'm not kidding you, 100% is all done because of bacteria. The bacteria create an enzyme. The enzyme is a chemistry set. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of different enzymes, and those do the chemistry. So if you don't have the right chemistry to create the right hormone, who knows what kind of a mix of sexual traits you might have. And, I'm not putting anybody down for feeling the way they feel. They feel the way they feel. And right now, there's a disaster, an absolute disaster with this major depressive disorder. People, these people are doing all these crazy things and shooting and all that. That's just not normal. There's something going on with these people. And we need to look at trying to intervene. And these fecal matter transplants are correcting people's moods. It appears, but they say there are no existing published studies, but they're finding that this microbiota gut axis now recognized as playing a role in mental health. We need to look in this deeply. I know exactly what to do, and Marguerite O'Reilly is setting up a protocol to do this, and how we need to harvest these samples to test and find out what bacteria is existing. She's working with mentally disabled kids, primarily autism. So, but we're finding it's basically all related to gut and the gut enzymes. So that's just what we're going to be digging into deep, and it just struck me that this could be, because I do see, like I say, I don't remember this many openly gay people. Obviously, I don't remember, they've never really been out in the open as much as they are now. Were they always the same? I'm not sure. I see a lot of feminine characteristics and a lot of, in other cases, females looking like males. And that, I really didn't see a lot of that, or I didn't notice it, or I don't know. Maybe it was just hidden. I have no idea. But I think we should look into the differences in a male's microbiota that's gay versus one that isn't, transsexual, whatever, and get a database and say, is there some bacteria that's just different? Even just for curiosity. Something's got to be different. Something's going on different there. If you're born with a penis and you want to be a woman, I don't think that's the normal way it works. I'm not saying it's anything about you. I'm saying that I think something in the chemistry didn't work out right. There's no question about that. Now, why didn't it work out right? Is it something that could have been corrected? Would you want it corrected? Are you happy being transsexual or gay or whatever? That may be. I don't know. I have no idea at this point. But I think we should look at everybody's microbiota, because that is what causes disease of every single sort. Cancer to autism. Everything. It's breakthrough of these membranes. I've shown this many, 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 many times. All right, these are the products that are made by these bacteria. They make these elegant products. There's tens and tens and tens and thousands of these. And every one of these will be a different product. And every one of those will do different chemistry, and it's all done in that layer. Well, not all of it, but most of it is done in that layer where it stops invaders and it sends things into food and so forth to break it all down. That's where these chemistry sets live, right in that layer. And it could, because they're squirted out by the bacteria, it lives right in that darker layer. You see the dark layer here? That's where the bacteria live, in these little houses. And they squirt their stuff, and they drive around out through here, through this fluid-filled highway, to deliver things, pick things up, and they squirt their enzymes out in there, and they go around sniffing for invaders, and that's where all of your immunity, it really basically begins. You're going to be able to have to dispatch people down if you get a deep-cut wound. Okay, the only way we're ever going to know if I'm right or wrong is to do a study of the different bacterias and enzymes that live in the different types of sexual identities. And everybody has female hormones, testosterone hormones. We have them both. All right? Both hormones are present in both sexes. It's that B globulin enzyme that attaches or doesn't attach, and it can change, as it shows, during pregnancy or in some other case, I forget what it was, but it can go extremely high. I forget what it was. But anyway, it's hormones. It's they're in your blood, and you need to have the correct enzymes to keep them being correct for you, so you don't get, your sex is mixed up. Enzymes act as a catalyst for reactions, and hormones act as messengers. But the enzymes trigger the hormones to work in certain ways to function in the body. And we have both of them. So that's just the way it is. I think it's worth looking into. All right, the reason I'm so certain about the things I'm saying is that I've been working on this for a number of years now, and I engaged with Marguerite O'Reilly, who had a very, very severe situation with her son, several years ago. And we ended up teaming up together here, trying to start a study in Northern Ireland. They have 1 in 21 children are diagnosed with autism in 2022. This is in Northern Ireland. What we want to do is to create a study of what is the bacteria in these kids. Because here's what happened with Marguerite. When I first hooked up with her, I was doing some research and somehow she found out about me, or I don't remember exactly how we connected, but the first thing I said to her, how does he poop? How does he poop? All the kids have trouble with the autism causes digestive disorders. I said, no, Marguerite, it's the other way around. A digestive disorder causes the autism. You're not getting the bacteria. You're not getting the enzymes. You're not getting the chemistry. Let's work on the bacteria, and let's work on the gut. And here's what happened. All right, this is why I'm so hot on this bacteria and enzyme and doing this study that Marguerite is working on. She ended up going to Harvard University for the microbiome, for ribosomes, to understand the programming. And this is all programming. It's exactly what it is. An enzyme is a program. And I told her, I said, he's missing some of the programs to create the molecules that create the insulation of the nerves. Basically, that's the way I'm seeing it, because all of these things create collagen fibers. There's 28 different types that they know of right now, and they're different, like insulation for your nerves. There's fibers for connective tissue, for all your membranes are different types of fibers, all kinds of, there's 28 different collagens. And if you don't have the right enzyme, you can't create the collagen. So then you get shorts in your electrical circuit. And basically that's what was happening to John Jr. He says, at John Jr. at the age of 9.5, I believe that's where I picked up on him. His symptoms were out of control. School couldn't handle him. Violence and hitting. It was just too much. He was suffering. He was nonverbal. He never spoke. Motor and sensory issues, bowel problems, that's the key. OCDs, rituals, arm flapping, stimming on his tiptoes. He run around a room on his tiptoes. It's just out of control. His nerves were all shaking nonstop, out of control, violence due to the symptoms, no eye contact, crossed his eyes all the time, nonstop muscle spasm, just everything was shorting out. So they told him at the doctors that we were told before you helped us, which is when I got involved, that he would be lucky to reach a mental age of 3 or 4 by his adulthood. Then after my research with the symptoms, I said probiotics. And she says, I didn't believe it. She said, I thought you didn't understand it was neurological problem and so forth. I trusted your research because she'd been following me for years, So in my heart, I thought another broken dream, another solution that doesn't work. But I trusted your research as I had followed you since 2016. Now this goes back to, I think, 2018 or so, somewhere in that area. We started on him, 4 years ago or so. And I knew you were 100% with your research, because I always back it up with something. I never present any research without any evidence. I'm a material researcher, and this is a material issue here. This is not something that just happened accidentally. Well, it did happen accidentally, but there is a method and a chemical solution to this, and here it was. She said, right away we noticed results. I told her, probiotics are the only thing I can think of. And he wouldn't take them. So she ended up putting them in powder in ice cream, and then he started taking them. She says, right away we noticed results. We thought we were imagining his progress. We couldn't believe within a month he was talking. A month or less, he was started talking. 3 months, all the symptoms were gone. 6 months, we could not believe it. Then he got a tummy bug, which is back to the issue of his stomach being a problem. The tummy bug. He went back to severe autism, but he still could talk. But he was freaking out because he thought he was going to go back to being all screwed up. He missed his probiotics for 3 weeks due to being sick. I think they should have just continued flushing it through him. But anyway, good news is you can start again, because they started giving it to him again, and they didn't know this. At the time, it was the worst time of their lives. I lost my sister, my mother, 7 weeks apart, and it nearly killed her. And her little boy's symptoms to return like this, it scared him, and it scared her too. And it was cruel. But you know what? I asked God for help. I begged, and Roger asked me the next day, how was my son? And it was a miracle. He turned right around and he was okay. To make miracles work, Roger, my friend, you have researched every element and atom. My parents always told me, leave no stone uncovered. Anyway, this is, you are chemistry. You got all your bacteria in you. And you got to have to keep it in good shape. Probiotics are, once you damage your good bacteria, you're in trouble, because it's got to repopulate somehow. You got to get that bacteria back in you. It's like you wipe out the plants in your yard and they're gone. And they're not just going to come back there all of a sudden just start over again. You got to repopulate it. You got to repopulate your gut. And that's what this fecal matter transplant does, and they don't allow it. It's working very, very well for autism, for C. diff, mental diseases. Literally, there's nothing it won't help. Even melanoma now. It's the cancers. All the cancers are nothing more than an invasion, just like this is. Nothing more than missing a bacteria and an enzyme, and if you're breaking through a wall of a membrane and it's invading an organ or whatever type of cancer you have, and that's what it is. It's an invasion by some living thing that wants to take over your tissues, and it does, because you can't fight them off. They're there all day, every day. I have them in me right now, you have them in you. If they are able to break through into your vital tissues and you have no way to stop them, you're going to get cancer. You're going to get some invasive disease. Case closed. Okay, my friends, we're going to be talking about gay versus straight versus all the in-betweens. And what's going on with hormones? Is that what controls it? And before we get started, I am a researcher only. I never tell you to do this or that with your health. I show you what the research shows. You make your own decision. This is insane. I'm just getting ready to post this video, and 10 hours ago this came up, and it was just in my feed. Now listen to this. This is Harvard Medical School, and that's where Marguerite went for ribosomes, the microbiome. Now, this is, I'm not sure what his name is, but he's from this Harvard Medical School, and it is Ted something. Anyway, Ted, thank you for joining us. I'm going to start right here. Listen to what he has to say. This is fabulous.
Thanks so much for having me.
So what prompted you to write this book?
Well, it started with my work as a physician and a psychiatrist. I'm focused on the autism spectrum in adults. And as part of that work, Ashley, my co-author, and I were working on developing a program to support adults on the spectrum with social functioning. But as we were working on that program, the more we thought about it, we started to think about this concept of interpersonal attunement. And the more that we thought, this concept is really applicable to almost everyone, not just people on the autism spectrum. And we became aware of the growing literature documenting rising rates of loneliness, feelings of alienation in our society, as you mentioned. And there's debate about why that is, but there's growing rise of technology. A lot of our communication is done electronically. And that was even before the pandemic. Then the pandemic came along, further separating us. So we just thought that this was a really important topic to address for the general public. And then I would say even at a larger macro level, we started to think about the big world problems that we face, whether that's the pandemic, climate change, nuclear weaponry, all those sorts of things, and to really try to address these major problems. It's so crucial to be able to communicate effectively with each other.
Exactly. And this is the problem. I have been shut off from communications. I address all these problems with material science, not just random theoretical nonsense. I show, as I have shown right now, that enzymes are the cause of basically everything that goes wrong in your body. If you have the correct enzymes and the correct bacteria, you will be regulated. It will work fine. And that's why some people never get sick. Other people get sick easily. That's called pre-existing conditions. You don't have the right enzymes in your body to protect you. They are starting to understand this. Like he says, as we started to think about it, we started to think there's a lot more to this. Now, right away, we have to engage in understanding the bacterial ramifications of the human body. What is supposed to be there? And if you're missing certain types of bacteria, is that indicative that you're going to get a certain type of cancer? And I believe it will be. So, and as far as all the rest of the stuff, global warming, I'm pretty up on that too. And I also understand our ancient history and the past and the geology, which also is not understood. He's correct. We need to communicate with each other. I have been destroyed and been dismissed because of my evidence, not because of my theories. It's because my evidence cannot be pushed back against. So I am not allowed to speak. You come with evidence and you will be told to sit in a corner and don't talk. And that's what happened to me. And I don't sit in corners and I don't stop talking either.